Hello. I wanted to give an brief update on the latest happenings at the Borough Ground, especially after this past Saturday, with it being the first official New York City Parks community outreach. So I did write a little bit just so I could stay on track. So, so a few days leading up to a Juneteenth celebration and procession from the Flatbush African Burial Ground to the Lefferts Homestead, those who had signed up for email alerts were made aware of Parks' first official in-person community outreach, which would be taking place on Saturday, June 24th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. My objective for that morning was to print out copies of an email that I sent to Parks regarding the Zoom meeting that they had hosted in late April, to see if I could get a response to at least some of the points and questions that I had raised in person, because otherwise I have yet to get a response back to that email. It was a little after 11 a.m. and I was already outside and printing, and received an urgent text from a friend that stated that a very sad event was taking place, and that Parks is feeling threatened by someone who is there, and they are packing up and leaving, and essentially Corazon, hurry, like, get to the scene quick. So I'm like thinking, like, what are they talking about? How can Parks feel so threatened that they leave? I mean, aren't they supposed to be there to listen to all points of, opinion as to what should happen at the grounds? How can they feel threatened and run? So I get over there, and I see Anya Hoya, I see Troy, I don't know what his last name is. Is it Edwards? Maybe. But he's an architect, and I believe Anya, I don't know what her official title is, but working as like the liaison for parks in the Brooklyn sector or something like that. I gotta look it up. But she was there still, and so but I first went up and said hello to people that I knew. I said hi to um, the guy who sells jewelry. I didn't want to say his name because I don't want to, be putting people's names out there in videos, but um, well, some names. So I went up to him first, and I said hello, what's up, how you doing? And I saw that he had a bullhorn, and I saw this banner, and I realized that Parks was feeling um, the way that they were feeling, because the jewelry person, the the sales guy, the merchant, was expressing that he absolutely feels that black people, that this should be a black-led excursion in regards to who is stewarding the land, who is um, erecting whatever goes there, and whoever's making the final decisions, that it shouldn't even be in the government's hands. And I did take video, and I'll cut to that in a bit. And I absolutely admit that some of the points that were being raised were inflammatory. They were they were singling out um, certain communities within the black population, and essentially telling them they should be like annihilated and all that type of stuff. And so it was wild. It was a little wild. Um, but I didn't, although I definitely belong to the communities that were being targeted. He um, he was saying that, God hates faggots. There were mentions of members of the LGBTQIA community are pedophiles. There were mentions of black women should not like divorce. They should like be staying with the men of their children. And it was like it was a lot of extra stuff that was happening. And again, like I said, I personally didn't feel threatened, and maybe because it helped that I knew him, but also at the same time, I'm used to that type of rhetoric from my community. So A, but B, the other points that he was drawing, is what I was really more so, I guess, fixated on, and was happy that he did come out there, because he did what he said that he was going to do. Because the weekend before, we were told during the, what was said to be like a ceremony and stuff like that, that, next week come out and let us know what you think, how you feel about what's happening here. And he said, I'm going to let them know. And he did. And there hasn't been, I would say, in a more um, public part of the conversation, or more on the record part of the conversation, that what's missing in a lot of this space right now is young black men and young people. And a lot of the times when we're looking around, it's a lot of older older women, and a lot of feminine energy, and elders. And it kind of feels like there's this heavy sense of soft power, which, is necessary and needed, with intelligence, historical knowledge, and whatnot. But there is very much a need of, a little bit more people who's ready to turn up the heat a little, because there are people who want to do a little bit more than just talk. There are people who do want to have those uncomfortable conversations that should not just immediately dissolve into taking things either personally, and it's so far that you cannot hear what the other person is saying. Which, another observation was, as the I'll bleep that out, but as was talking, through his bullhorn, one of the organizers with African Graves Matter, who is a white man, a white Jewish man, you could tell that what was being said was bugging him. I mean, someone's yelling out, white crackers, and Jew this, Jew that, and blah 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 blah. You know, like, there's two ways that can go. Someone can sit here or they can feel some type of way. So I'm watching the scene. What's happening next? So I see Robert zip around. He's picking up stuff, and then suddenly he runs over and he starts. You could see the veins popping in his neck, and he's telling Curtis, and not even telling Curtis. He's yelling it. I'll bleep that. He's yelling in this man's face about how he is making his ancestors ashamed, and that this is what he should be doing instead, which is clearing up the space, clearing up the garbage. Robert was questioning, where was this man? Why is he just so yelling these things out? And I was wearing my news hat, so I sighed, noted the observation. But someone else who was there raised what I personally felt, which was, why is it that's just so common? Why is it that white people, white men, have such a fixation on controlling our emotions, how we express, how we feel, how we move through space, and and honestly, how dare Robert? How does Robert have any right to tell a black man that he's making his ancestors ashamed, when all other black people, or because I mean, if you believe in past lives, I mean, this is a digression, but if you believe in past lives, I don't know what Robert was in the past life, but we talk about current times, and people who are currently black and living with the black experience, we're all like, we've all felt like this happened to us, like people at some point or another having like this corral, and seeing these patterns just repeat constantly over and over and over again. 1700s, 1800s, 1900s, 2023. The plantation scene is still here. It just it looks different, but the characters are still pretty much the same. How, and I mean, I just had to pause. I mean, it's difficult, and I mean, I know I love to curse, you know, yeah, but I don't know, the grandmas, the all my little etiquette training, all say there's a way to express, and I'm never gonna censor anyone, especially not a black man. But how is the but I do hear also, is the message taken seriously or heard when it's expletive laced? That's what you want to say. Because for me personally, I felt like um, a lot of things that I've raised um, were not taken seriously simply because of I'm not using big words. I don't have any sort of license. My degrees are ancient and dusty. No one in this space knows my background or what I've done. So, fooey to to us, and that should not, and that's a segue to, it should not be that because a certain group or a certain set of people have access to academia, access to licenses, access to or promises of funding, and all of that are the ones that get to streamline, um, I guess take the fast track to seriousness, or be heard, or get their plans and their thoughts weighed more than anybody else who's participating. Because as far as I'm concerned, it should be equal. I mean, we're writing, and this is equal. That this is a whole, you know, um, a whole community input, involvement, and whatever. And that's really not what it's feeling like. The coalition, it definitely feels like, is getting the preferential treatment. I raised the question of to Anya, it really feels like, because everyone that I've spoken with, several people from the community board, other members of the African Graves Matter, people from the African Atlantic Genealogical Society, they've all reached out, not just to the coalition, but to Parks, and they've been trying to make a connection, trying to also have a seat at the table. They're not being responded to, but yet the coalition was able to secure a permit to open a lock that I've been trying to find, a flimsy combination lock, which I've been trying to for months to get information on, get that open, get in there, and have this whole thing. And that's not to take away from anything that was done, because yes, bring attention to the burial ground. We need the eyes to it, but there should be a way that I feel like there should definitely be a better way at how that's done, and not being afraid of allowing other voices or others that might be opposite to you to be at that table, because that's kind of how it's coming off right now. But I was reassured that's not what's happening, and Parks is trying to work with everybody. So, you know, there's that. Now, when I was speaking with the Troy, the architect I don't know if he's like an architect or um, what his exact position is with on the plan for the burial ground, but I believe it's in the planning architecture. But I was posing some questions about, um, where's Parks at? What are their thoughts? How much is what's being stated in the Zoom meetings, in the community board meetings, and what's happening today, or on that Saturday, being taken back to the office and being fully included into the plan, and because he something he had said struck me, because he said, the feedback that we're getting, we being Parks have been getting, is that we don't want a building here, we don't want any, you know any type of memorial. We want like we're thinking about like a commemorative garden. And that was why I started to push on that, because everything else I've heard has stated, it's not that we don't want a building, we don't want an affordable housing units, and some little segment thing saying, oh, this is the African burial ground and you're living on a sacred space. It's that where a lot of voices have been stating a memorial, some type of center, something that people can come to get receive education, um, uh, even something that could tie in multi-generational, I guess interweaving the multicultural aspect of. I'm pausing as I'm trying to figure out how to like phrase it. The the Lenape indigenous, because that is this space as well. How bringing that in, and that the floral fauna piece was, supporting. But I've never heard just open space. I mean, I have heard open space, some sort of like with plants, and I mean, I've posed, uh, if you're going to have plants here, have it be from the diaspora, and teach, and have some type of plaques as to what was its significance, how are people used it, how our medicinal practices, tying that all in, but not to just have that and that be it. That it was supposed to be a whole lot more. And so that was why I was pushing that question of how much is being taken back to the office, because, like, when you're stating monument, or are you saying that people don't want like a monolith, like what's going on in Washington? You see that big old, what is that? I don't know what that thing is called, but the big triangle stick thing. Because I imagine no one was thinking that. I mean, at least not in my mind, because that's big for the area, but like, just like, anyways, then I felt like there was a little bit of a backtrack, and that it was that it's all of what we're saying is going to be integrated, in the sense that aggregated in a way that I guess it could be fit in and still make sense, because otherwise, I mean, I know you can't have like a Frankenstein here. So and then I guess, since I can this is my new show, I can give my opinion. A lot of what was being said felt fishy. It felt like Parks really, it kind of has their own idea, and whatever's happening is just, the checks, like people have been telling me, usually just happens. It's just checking boxes to say that they did it, and, Parks just does what they want to do. And Parks is saying that there is no one group that has preferential treatment, but it certainly feels like it. Um, I also, the money piece, because that's coming to my head now. I get that memorials, ensuring language access, um, and making this full-fledged, giving this space what it truly deserves, is probably going to cost a whole lot more than $4 million. But that shouldn't scare anybody away. I mean, what was coming up in conversation was, and you know, you see it in the news articles. We know it, how much money the black community in this country controls, and how much is moved. But if we could pull that together somehow, if this could, we could blast it, like super wishful thinking. If this could go like super viral, and like Mondo celebrities, and like, everywhere, pouring it in, everywhere, we could like, it could, it's totally possible. It's absolutely possible. Um, I don't feel any limitations to wanting to try or wanting to be vocal in why it feels like maybe, city officials aren't wanting to push for more, or, because I don't want to settle. And the bullhorn man, the protester, doesn't want to settle. Numerous other parts of the community who I've spoken with, and because it's not just me who's speaking, nor just the man with the bullhorn speaking, um, from different parts of the community, we really want to do something big, and are also um, um, not shy about our radicalism, if I guess you could phrase it that way. Radicalism, or absolutely feeling like, push comes to shove, pick up machetes. That's how I feel. That's how a lot of people are feeling. Like I said earlier, it's kind of not interested in a lot of talking, and so being able a lot of talking, I feel like I've hit my points, and raised the observations that I wanted to point out. I'll cut to a bit of the protest just to include that. And, oh, the last thing, I guess, because I was going to weave in, but I believe that I mentioned that I am a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, but I wanted to make sure I was very specific, and that I'm a transmasculine man, that most of my experience still has been lived as a black woman. So I cannot say that I can speak, nor do I ever want to even speak for a black man, or a man who has lived through, childhood, teenage, all those formative years, um, as a man, biological man, whatever. But my glimpse, uh, rough. So all that to say, personally, no. Trans people, gay people, no, we're not pedophiles. We're not, coming to hunt your kids. We do exist in the black community, where some of us are normal, some of us have quirks, some of us have things. We're people. We You cut, we blood, we bleed, we have blood. Um, but as a black person, I really did not feel any any right to tell him to stop, or B, that he was bringing shame to himself, his family, or anything. Matter of fact, I was smiling, and I felt happy and proud, because we need that. We need to see um, see us coming out, because I know for me, it takes time, and the only way that you learn, I continue to learn about different communities, moving, changing my perspective and whatever, is just by getting out there. Now, I can also, at the same time, I'm not out here to change anybody's mind. So, you know, if he wants to go around, if, it's on the news, people want to go around thinking crap stuff about trans people, about gay people, that, whatever. That's their life. I'm finally living mine, and I'm finally living free. I'm finally living open. And that is, for me, what I feel is the most important piece, kind of, for my continued um, advocacy work or whatever with that burial ground, is the freedom to be me, to move in space as me, and to learn what that is, and that I don't have to wait till the next generation, that I don't have to pray that in the next life, that I can do this now. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And I was questioned a couple times by some of the women that were around it, and it kind of felt like, maybe I should stop now. I I'm just saying, for me, I'm not trying to tell nobody how to speak or live, but just don't come by my lane. Because the moment, if he was very expressive, that he gave his warnings, so I give mine, and I've been giving mine. People can stay in their lane, because it's not personal. But the moment it starts getting personal, and you start veering very close into my lane, believe me, it's on. And I mean, that's it. But otherwise, I'm just trying to do, and I want to, take away trying to. I'm just, I'm just out here, and now I think I can end there. So, that was the updates. Thanks for listening. Oh, because I did get a phone call. I was like, and they were like, so what's next? What's next? What's next? And I'm like, I mean, people keep talking about meeting. I mean, people literally have been talking about meeting together for like months now, for over half a year. We need to get together and meet. It's about unity. We need to get together and meet. And I get it. People are busy, but at the same time, again, it's a lot of talk. I don't know where the meetings are, or if they're happening, that they're being decided on the last minute, and people can't just, sometimes they literally cannot drop what they're doing to be present. So it's like it's set up to fail. So for me, my next step is to be present, and be present at the space. Figure out what that looks like, and follow up with some emails, and someone that I met who was there, who wanted to network about things that we could do, who was speaking to, we could, and then this is totally possible, about how we could um, totally shepherd this space, and give it its due. So I mean, if I hear of any meetings, y'all know what I do. I'll just send out a text message. I'll forward it to people. Let people know that it's happening. And there's that. So, all right. Peace out. Oh, I should look at the camera. Where's my light? Where's my light?